I find people's obsession with fame rather alarming. It's almost like people just fail to grow up. Deep down, that's what it feels to me. Nothing wrong with reaching the top of a mountain, achieving success in whatever form that's due to come in. But I think when people have their dream is to be famous, like there's no real reason as to why that fame is. Or even if you do have a skill and you just really want to be in the spotlight for some reason, it's just, of course, some people are just attention seekers in general. So of course that'd be like great to them because now I've got all the attention. But these are things to heal. I can't think, I can't help but think how shallow it would be to just be, if that's your goal though, to reach the top of that milestone. It just must be short. It must be like what's the point? If it's a consequence of something you do, you didn't seek it, then it is what it is. It just comes with the territory. For that to just be a milestone to accomplish, I mean, I can only talk for myself. It's meaningless. Overall, it's meaningless. It's putting too much impetus and validation for others' perception of you. So that to not feel successful of yourself or worthy until others recognize it in you, that's the part I have trouble with, and I'll always have trouble with that. Like, well, that doesn't make sense. You need to see your worth in yourself, and then by extension, you won't really mind how others perceive you. So if you don't mind how others perceive you, then what difference does it make if people really see you or don't? It's just irrelevant. I've got bigger things in my life to worry about and to build upon than worry about any potential level of fame. Now, the reason I do the video is a video come up recently, and I get a lot of signs in my life, and this one was just so in my face, and I was like, immediately, like, I don't give a shit. Like, I've got bigger things than that to deal with. It's so trivial to me. And then it just, like I said, it just triggers. I'll show the video just to get it out of the way because it really got in my face, and I thought, bloody, who gives a shit? Like, that's how I just feel like straight away when I hear things like this.
Damn it, superstar. Yes, you are going to be famous. Yes, you are going to be on that stage. Yes, your book is going to be on the shelves. Yes, you're going to be in that movie. Yes, your music is going to be all over the charts. Yes, you are going to have that superstar life that you've been dreaming of. If you're finding this video right now, you might be feeling discouraged, or maybe you feel like
I couldn't give a rat's ass of any of that crap. Like, honestly, none of that interests me at all. It doesn't bother me. So, yeah, put it in your face like that's the answer you've been waiting for. I just want my life to improve, in all areas. It's not the last area that would ever need to be fulfilled is other people's opinion of me. Anything superficial. It's not on my radar. I've got my finances need to improve. That's irrelevant of being in a spotlight. Fame doesn't guarantee you have certain parts of your life to fulfilled. Like, yeah, you might get brand deals. Yeah, you might get opportunities here and there, but there's no guarantee it improves your finances though. That does. That's not. That's just, I think that's a bit naive to think that certain things would just definitely, it can open doors, of course, but it doesn't mean it's guaranteed to. You could be you could be famous as a dipshit. It's like famously chaotic, famously um, someone that can't be collaborated with, and things like that. It's just, what's the point? Fame is not going to bring a relationship. It's going to make your heart sing. Fame is not going to bring my daughter home. Now, time will bring that home. In that situation, time will heal that situation. Hopefully, she'll be home in a year or so. And then it's on her own free will, no influence from me. And that's something, just natural progression. And I'm sure there's other areas of life. If someone has a health scare, for instance, and they was going through something, fame isn't going to solve that problem. Now, some people think you throw money at everything, it solves a crisis. Helps a financial crisis, doesn't really guarantee help in other areas. And of course, fame gives you help, extra influence, I guess. But I think everybody should be treated the same. So I don't think it should matter where you are in society, where people position you if if something's not good enough for someone who has privilege, then it shouldn't be. It should be the same for other people. If it's not good enough for them, it shouldn't be good enough for everyone else. So I'm of the opinion that we're all potential superstars in our own right, and we shouldn't keep putting people on pedestals because that's insane. I'm just talking from personal experience. I don't put people on pedestals. I genuinely don't care. It's just a reputation. That's all it is. You break it down, we're all just humans walking around. We've all got different soul experiences, and okay, with different vibrations. People sometimes process things. Everyone processes things in their own unique way. Sometimes people are a bit more fast at processing things. Maybe they have a different outlook on life. Maybe they have a talent and skill. But ultimately, they're just people in the same way everybody else is just people. So I can't help but think, even if you're the most famous actor in the world, that's incredible if I've seen your films. And sometimes it's inspiring, or someone that would be an incredible musician. I have musicians I look up to. I look and think incredible musicians, but I don't know what they're like as people. So I'm not going to fall at people's feet and go, "Oh my God, hallelujah!" It's like that's incredible what you do. That's where I leave it. You wouldn't see me camped outside people's places wherever they are, sitting there trying to get an autograph, trying to spend time with them. It's like, no. I don't have that level of fascination. I can appreciate a talent, and that's where I end it there. So fame is subjective to the audience anyway. For one person, it could be like a life changing event to meet that person, just to be in their company or just to witness them in life. To someone else, who the hell are they? That's what they'll be thinking. Like, who the hell's that? Oh, I don't have a clue, because everybody's got different interests. So it is subjective, and it's just for me, it's just a pointless goal. Like I say, if it's a consequence of something, fine. No one's saying it's a terrible thing. I wouldn't say it's terrible, although I think it comes with its pitfalls, of course. That's what I'm saying. There's like a naivety that fame solves all your problems. Fame will add more layers of shit to your life. You're going to have a lack of privacy. You can have a little lack of space to yourself. I mean, these are two quite obvious ones. There might be, you might feel less safe, because you could now be the target of this situation and that situation. It's all of a sudden, life isn't as peaceful as it was. But again, it may come as a consequence of something you do, and it's just a natural progression. It's like, okay. But then I think people just need to temper their expectations of others so they don't put them so high on a pedestal. And that's really the problem, isn't it? It's just that some people just get crazily attached to people when really they should be focusing on their own growth and themselves and how they value themselves. And then other people are so focused on validation that their literal happiness and feeling of success will only come from the way others react to them. And it's like, that is so shallow, though, because that means your life is very fickle. So if someone adores you, it makes you feel like really, really happy, like you feel confident. So what happens when people say bad things about you? Because fame is subjective. You might have an audience that absolutely thrive and love you. There's good bit, but life is polarizing. You can't go through life expecting everybody to pat you on the back and give you a hug and say you're special. Equally, you can have people that don't like you. They've got bad things to say. Maybe you're going to want bad things to happen to you too. So how's that going to make you feel? So if you're not confident enough in that situation, then I would be very, very skeptical about jumping into the spotlight per se. It just seems so trivial. It's such a trivial thing to me. Like the notion of fame and celebrity. And what I do, I recognize that a lot of people change. You see them, they present themselves better. They start wearing, like, females obviously wear their makeup and that, but then they start having this. They have got unique dress attires, and it almost becomes a fashion competition amongst themselves within the celebrities. And I just think that, again, that's so trivial. I'm not saying I wouldn't dress nice, I wouldn't look nice. I like to wear. At times I've liked to wear nice clothes, like a nice shirt, a proper shirt, buttoned shirt, and things like that. And I look good when I do wear the things like that, and I actually like it. And that's just for me. I've liked the way I've looked at times in with that, but then I start dressing down and I just lose interest. But it's like, that's just me. So like, if I'm ever looking better, it's because I like to look nice too, though. I like to feel good. But I'm just as equally comfortable just dressing down completely. And it's reached a point where I just don't care about a color palette. So I'm all like, at the moment, it's mainly blacks and grays. You know, I couldn't care. I just couldn't care less. Like, who am I doing it for? So I'm just wearing clothes. I'm not really into all that. I think that I see it more like peacocking. I'm not interested in peacocking. You know, just being flamboyant and trying to make myself look the most special person in other people's eyes. It's like, no, I'm good. I'm all right. If someone sees my value, then that's great, and hopefully the things I do and the things I speak on will help them. If someone doesn't see my value, it doesn't make me lose sleep. It's like, mate, I know who I am. I don't need you. It's okay. Um, but I think that's a better. Is that surely not a better place to come from? Because effectively, it's like I say a lot. Like if you come into a vast amount of wealth and you haven't been able to control your finances, the money might control you. And that's not a good place to be because you need to be in control of your life, you know? But at the same time as well, if you're not ready for fame and it comes at you and it's something you've dreamt of, but you've not really positioned yourself where you can actually handle it, it's going to consume you. That's why a lot of people just turn to like drugs and all those vices because they can't handle the pressure and everything that comes with it. Mm. And I think I think impersonally, in many situations, it's deflating. Because if everything you've pinned is other people's reactions to you, your pinned success is that, then what else is there? When you get to the top of that mountain, people know your name, people cheer you on, blah, blah, blah. What else is there? That's the thing, isn't it? It's like, what label do you want now? So I think it's more about investing in ourselves, do the best we can at a given moment, and then that's our evolution. And then there's always room to grow in that, isn't there? There's always more skills to develop and something else to invest in. And it means our life has substance and meaning. And I think for each of us, that's just far more important than anything that's superficial and unnecessary. So, for instance, if I was ever in the spotlight and people were falling at my feet, like, don't fall at my feet. Get up, get up, get up. Don't don't look too fondly at me. Reflect it back at you. So if you see qualities in me that you find it admirable, you know, you admire, reflect it back to you and wonder why like, perhaps you don't have that. Because if you're looking like quite like you admire someone, if you're looking with those with that level of admiration though, where you're putting someone on a pedestal, that would suggest that you don't put yourself on a similar pedestal. Like I said, I don't do that with people. And it's not like I'm trying to have an ego boost. It's just I like who I am. I love who I am. I'm confident with who I am, and I know my potential, and I know what I've already accomplished. And that's all internal. You know, I don't look up at anybody to, you know, some people all have different skills to me. Someone might have a similar skill and they're far more advanced, but I don't compete with people. I just want to be the best version of myself and achieve the most I can in this life, and that has no bearing. Like the people's perception of that has no bearing on it. So my point really is, if someone was to come and maybe they admire me too much, they're so fond of me that it's the epicenter of their world is to meet me. Like I said, that sounds crazy, doesn't it? And in some ways it is, but I understand everybody's healing. So all I would want in that situation is the person to reflect it back, think about what it is you see in me potentially, or not even me, whatever person you consider on your pedestal, because you know fame is subjective, of course. And then think about like why don't you think that way about yourself? Because it'd be quite evident that if you put someone too far on a pedestal, you've elevate them above you. Like you should be at the top of the food, like at the top of the hierarchy and the pyramid. You should be the top. But there's a lot of lessons to learn in that. It's about humbling yourself. Don't sort of like start. People go on power trips. So let's say you start thinking of yourself you in a really positive way. You gain confidence. Confidence can be perceived as arrogance, and there is a crossover between the two. So it can actually be arrogance to a level. So sometimes I have arrogance and I recognize it, but I consider it in a healthy way. Some people might see it in an obnoxious way. That's really again. Most things in life are subjective. It's like it depends how you process it. You know, it's like again, I don't really care how people perceive it. Um, but it's really important that we check ourselves regularly. Like, why are you doing this? and don't look too down at other people. Now, of course, I question people's motives, their intentions. I think a lot of people are flawed. I think we're all potentially flawed. Some of us heal better than others. Some of us are more advanced in our healing journey. So within that recognition, like I just said, if someone has an obsession with someone else, then there's something to heal. Because I don't have obsessions with other people, I would consider myself healed. So I consider the average person flawed. So it doesn't make me attracted to the average person, if you like, because I'm thinking they've got a lot to work on. And, any issue they have with me is probably just a reflection of themselves. Again, you start talking like that, some people think, oh, look at him full of himself. I mean, sometimes you're just going to have to be. If it triggers you, it's going to have to trigger you, isn't it? You're going to have to, again, that's another thing to heal. So effectively, not even the average person, we're all healing something. We're all evolving. And, if we get to the top of our pyramid, we start appreciating ourselves enough that we literally respect and love ourselves. It's important that we don't then just go on this massive tangent where we think we're the king and everybody else is beneath us. Other people might be at different levels in terms of their progression, but it's not looked down at them in terms of the fact that, you're some sort of messiah. That's dangerous, because it's not good for you. It's not good for your mental health. You'll end up getting delusional and going really on this massive tangent where you think people should worship you. And again, it goes full circle. Why would that bring you joy? And I always think that, like, why would other people's suffering bring you joy? Because that's what that is. People have to hold themselves back. They have to minimize their life for you to feel powerful. Like, what is that? And that's really a lot of my issue when it comes to people gravitating towards the notion that fame is their be all and end all, because then it means to put yourself above someone else. But then why should we minimize someone else's life? Why is someone else's life doesn't have as much meaning as yours? Everybody life should have meaning. Everybody's life should have purpose. And we shouldn't ever suppress someone's opportunity to heal and grow, and evolve. So I'm not someone that seeks revenge on people. It's not in my DNA to have revenge in that sense. You might have an argument, you might have like a retaliation to situations at times, but in terms of like a deep revenge, I don't seek other people to live a miserable life. If there's an issue between me and them, then of course, I will set a very firm boundary, and it's like your life no longer intertwines with mine. I wish you well on your healing journey, but it won't be healed through me, or directly anyway, especially within my presence. And that's the limit of it. I wish people well on their healing journey, but it's not for me to heal them. So I don't take the responsibility of other lives onto me, because I've got my own life to heal here. Like I said at the beginning, I've got my own problems here. Put it in perspective, like my finances are terrible right now, and I'm really, really agitated with it. Like I'm deeply agitated. And I know I talk about certain things in the videos and what I do, but in the daily life, I don't think people really process it to maybe think about what it's like in your daily life. And I'm telling you, and I'm saying now, it's a freaking nightmare. It's really, really bad. And I'm trying to work my way through it. And I'm even want to, it debilitates you at times. But I always recognize that everything goes in cycles. So a bad moment will transcend into a good moment at some point. What you think is your worst period isn't always, it's not sustainable. It's not always going to stay like that. So in one moment, you can think it's the end of the world. In another moment, it's like, what was I worrying about? Doesn't mean it ain't valid and real in that moment. Doesn't mean it's not hardship. Doesn't mean it seems impossible. But anything can happen at any moment. And as long as we do the right things in the right moments, we do the best we can with what we have. It's like, you can't ask for more than that. So some moments are going to be tough and it's going to seem like the end of the world. And there will be ramifications to that. So there's consequences, of course. But things can be repaired. Things can be restored. And I think that's the perspective we have to have in life, But like I said, there's deeper issues in society. And there's an awful lot of healing that we go through and evolution that for me personally is just far more substantial than like waiting for people to recognize you or waiting for people's reactions to you and things like that. So like for me, the notion of fame and all those things are like, if I had a checklist, that would be like one of the lowest things on any checklist I have. It's like, it's not something that I pin my life on and just say, oh my God, it's not complete unless someone validates my experience. It's like, what the hell is that? And I see people lose their minds in the pursuit of fame where they're not themselves. They become these strange influencers who I see straight through. Other people adore. They think they're hilarious or think they're great. And I see them just sucking the life out of people. They're not good role models. They're not even true and honest. And they adapt like chameleons to the next trend. And I just can't help but look and think you're going to be irrelevant one day, and you're going to have to cope with the fact that at one moment you had the attention on you, at the next moment you're going to be forgotten. And that's going to be a hard pill to swallow for people that just are intent on fame, because the power gets to them. So going back to live a minimal life after such exploits, I think would be a really hard pill to swallow for some people, and they won't accept that they're no longer relevant. But the reality is they were never themselves in the first place, and the things that people were attracted to are no longer attracted to. Personally, I think people are going to be more intent on healing themselves rather than putting all their time and energy into fake people. That's where I see the world going. I think people will be less drawn to violence, so combat sports and things. I think in the future, not yet, but I think in the future, people won't have much interest in that as much as they have in the past, because it's a bit more barbaric. So effectively, you're taking joy and entertainment from people like harming physical harm on each other. And that's, like I said, it's a bit barbaric, and that doesn't coalesce with healing. So people are interested in healing and being the best version of themselves, and valuing life isn't really going to take much joy in other people suffering. So I think physical harm is the most expressive form of that, isn't it? It's most apparent. Anyway, so there's little things that I see in society, and I'm like, that'll change, that'll change, that'll change. Um, and maybe people's perception of sort of reality and that attention and addiction to fame, maybe that will change too. I mean, I'd see that as progress. I would see that as deep progress within society if people started to look less upon seeking that validation from others. So then the notion of fame and celebrity gets diminished. And I would say, if because I look at life in terms of like where society could be, if the world was healed, what would a society look like that's high vibrational and successful in that way, where where the planet is healed and people are successful in their lives, they invest in themselves. You wouldn't really have fame so much. You might have people you still admire, and yeah, people admire. So there, maybe there's a level of fame within that slightly, but I don't see the point. I don't see in generations to come, like we're talking about deep into the future. I think if the planet heals, I can't see the point where people would put others on a pedestal to such an extent that they have recently or in history. So I think the notion of fame would change and perhaps even be extinguished altogether. And I wouldn't say that's a particularly bad thing, because everybody should be the celebrity of their life. And I think it's something to wrap your head around.